Okay, I'm back. I'm gonna try this one again. Hi, you guys. Happy. Am I live? I'm not sure if I'm live. Okay, I think I'm live. Why is my face so white? Like, ooh, ooh. And what? Sorry, guys. Like, it's so bright in here. Hi, Tasha. Hi, Holly. Okay, so happy Friday, you guys. Thank you for joining us today. Hang on, guys. Sorry, I'm having technical difficulties here. There you go. My face is like, what is this? Thank you, guys, for joining us today. I'm very, very excited to introduce to you our guest for today, and I'm so excited to introduce Tasha. Tasha and I met here on Instagram, and she's going to be joining us shortly. I think she's here. She's here. Hi, guys. Oh, there she is. Hi,
Tasha. Hello. Let me try and... There you go.
Hi. Sorry, my face is just like silver. If I move like this, like it wasn't like this earlier when I tested it. So like...
Yeah, try to aim down.
Oh, whoa.
Worse. Aim up. There you go. Welcome to the world of Instagram influencing, where you just run around your house to find the best window.
Here. Oh, no, it's white again. Hang on. Just give me one. I'm going to close my blinds, okay?
Okay.
Ta-da! That's better. That's better. I'm going to close one more blind. Sorry, guys.
There we go. That got you.
Okay. Oh, that's much better. Okay.
Yeah.
I am hiding in one of our bedrooms here because the kids are outside. I think they're having a nap. So this is the only safe place for me. But Tasha, thank you so much for your time. And guys, thank you for being patient with me as I navigate through this. So Tasha, where's Tucker?
He's in the loft. He took a 2-hour nap this morning, and so he's not going to go down for a second. He is angry.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, yeah. I saw your story. It was like wearing his kid today. I'm like, oh, he's so cute.
I was going to bring him in. I can text Dustin at the end to have him bring him in, but yeah, we tried to start with him, and he is not in the mood.
Oh, maybe when he finds out that Auntie is here waiting for him.
Yeah.
Okay, so can you introduce who is Tasha? Like, where were you born? Where are you now? Tell us something about your family.
Yeah, so I'm from Ohio. Fredericktown, Ohio, which is a teeny tiny town. I had a graduating class of like 30 people because half of our class went to a career center. And then I moved to Oklahoma City to work in oil and gas as a project engineer. Was recently laid off from that, and I am now doing web design and development and branding and business consulting. So project management kind of was a good way to get into that because obviously I was managing projects, $1 million projects, like 6 to 9 at a time. So I'm trying to still use that and not totally throw away my engineering degree, but I'm kind of throwing away my engineering degree.
Well, maybe it's just for a season, right? You'll never know, like in the next few months, back again in the engineering industry, and like, wow, like engineering, that's pretty, like, I don't know how many math you did there, but I'm like, algebra.
A lot. I like the math side, not the science side. No thanks.
But you still got it. You got a degree, so like, wow, like I so much respect for that. Like, my dad is an engineer and he's so good at math, and I didn't get that. So
I bet you did. You're running a business. It's just showing in different ways.
Well, that's different. That's different math. That's not like life-saving math, I guess. Well, well, my pharmacy, I feel pharmacy because like I can't do math right, so it's like I'm better off staying away.
I think that you succeeded in your own way then, so.
You're so sweet. Wow. So yeah, web design. Like I know you're so talented. Like even when we first met, like I came across your Instagram and like wow. And then I was scrolling through hashtag Cleft Strong, I think, and then I saw your Instagram, and I was thinking of sending you a message, and then I put my kids to bed. Then when I went back on my phone and checked it, sent me a message, and I'm like, what? You messaged me? So I still remember. I'm like, yeah, like, can we be best friends? And I'm like, of course. Like, I'm like, it's so like, I didn't even know you're an engineer. Like, you're so talented. Like, you can do so many things. And then your recipes, like your lattes, like those are so
I can
amazing.
do a lot of things, just not anything super well because I'm so scatterbrained. I just want to like do a lot of different things instead of learn one thing. So I guess there's benefit to that, but sometimes it's not the best.
Come on, you're amazing.
Thank you. I'm awful at taking compliments, so this is like a really hard live right now.
I'm pretty much the same there. Yeah. Okay, so so let's talk about your journey with Tucker, your cleft journey with Tucker. So when did you find out about his cleft, and how did you feel when you first find out about his cleft?
It was actually, we had our 20-week anatomy scan, but our OBGYN was on vacation. I think she was in France or Italy or somewhere wonderful. And so we had the technician in the room with us, and I could tell that something was off, but she wouldn't talk to us about it. And I was like, well, when will we know what's going on? And she's like, well, your OBGYN will tell you. I'm like, well, she's out of town for 10 more days. So is there another doctor who can come in and talk to us, or are you going to make me leave stressed out? Because I can tell just by the look on your face that something's up. And at this point, Dustin was like, she's fine. Like, she's not, that's not a look. You're just misreading the situation. And so we went home and sent messages through our like medical portal, and still, I mean, she was in a different country. Nobody was responding to us. And at that point, I was like trying to like write it off as I just imagined it, that everything's fine. And I was just imagining things. But when she got back 10 days later, we went in and she let us know that he likely was suspected of having a cleft lip. And she told us she wouldn't know about a palate or anything until we went to get a like more in-depth ultrasound at the high risk clinic. And at this point, I'm just like totally shocked and shook. Because I mean, of all the things like I expected her to say, it wasn't, I didn't even like, for all the things that I do know, Wikipedia style, I did not really know what a cleft was. And I was picturing like the TLC TV shows when I was younger, where kids with some like pretty large clefts, because they grew up way past infancy with a cleft, were coming over to America to get these free surgeries, and then like the TV shows about that. So I was picturing like a big cleft, because you don't really want to age out of infancy with a cleft if you can help it. You want to have surgery younger. And I kind of expressed that to her, and she's like, oh no, like Joaquin Phoenix. And I'm like, I don't even know who Joaquin Phoenix is. So she pulled up Joaquin Phoenix in our appointment and was like, look how handsome he is. And I'm like, okay, thank you. And now that I've been in this community long enough, I know that Joaquin Phoenix doesn't even claim to have a cleft. So I think that that's kind of funny looking back. But it was hard to hear that something was wrong with your baby, or with my baby. It was hard to hear that. And Dustin and I had driven separate, and so I waited until I got in my car to cry, and of course he's like at the window like trying to console me, and I'm just like trying to comprehend what's going on and decide if I should Google. Mm-hmm. And I Googled, and I think that that was good and bad for me, because I really needed to normalize seeing clefts, because the first time you see clefts online, you just see something wrong with a baby. And joining the Facebook cleft group was really helpful for me, not because of all the misinformation that gets spread through those groups, but because people were constantly posting photos of their babies. And it went from seeing like an abnormality to just seeing a baby, which really needed to happen for me before I gave birth, I think. And I know a lot of moms don't get that chance to know ahead of time or mentally prepare. And I have no idea how to speak on that because I'm not sure what that feels like. But I have a feeling that once you see your baby, it doesn't matter if you had time to prepare or not, it's still going to feel the same way. And you're not going to give I told myself I wasn't going to cuss. You're not going to give a crap. You're not going to give a crap. I mean, there was nothing. And I think that's one of your questions for me later. What was it like seeing him for the first time? And I had to remind myself to look for his cleft lip. It was very apparently there. I mean, he had a notch up into his nostril. But it was like he was made that way. I don't know how to explain it other than that. And so I was also super delirious. I had like an awful birthing experience, but, and I honestly didn't even want to hold him at first. I just wanted to go to sleep. But, I like had to remember thinking, oh yeah, does he have a cleft lip? Oh, yep, he does. And it didn't matter, not even a little bit. So I know you kind of felt similar, I think, with your little. Yeah.
Like, but I didn't have a group. Like, I didn't even find out the group until after the cleft palate surgery. So I was kind of like on my own for a long time. And Google.
Google. Oh gosh, Google. The good with the bad.
Yeah, and our Cleft team was great too. But it's like, for me, I think it's nice to, like, when you said there's the Cleft group, that you were able to actually like connect with moms, like see real photos and like, the before and after, not just like, hey, this is Joaquin Phoenix. And then it's like, well, nah, doesn't work.
Yeah, and she's like, boys just grow a mustache. And I'm like, what the? He's not going to have a mustache till he's like old. Yeah. Like, that's a weird thing to tell me. But I think she was struggling too. We had a different situation, and I think that if I'm pregnant again, I won't have the same OBGYN, not because we didn't love her, we did, but I have different like wants for my next birth. But like the OBGYN we did have, her dad he's retired now, was plastic surgeon on the only cleft team at the time in Oklahoma through OU. So she had some awareness above and beyond what another OBGYN would have for what to look for. And obviously the tech saw something, but she, I think, was the reason that we knew ahead of time or so quickly is because she had so much experience. I mean, and you don't really get involved in your dad's work, but I think when your dad and you both are a doctor, I'm sure she saw a lot of the sonograms and whatnot and the photos. And I think that we were meant to have her as an OBGYN to walk through this, because I can't imagine, like, with all the things that she said wrong to us, like, oh, you can use a nipple shield to breastfeed. Like, no. Like, all the things that she said wrong to us, I feel like somebody who's completely unaware would have been even worse. So it's a weird world.
But like, this is, yeah, maybe she just asked dad, and like, really, yeah, it was, is it her that, like, going back to the, like, is it her or her assistant that said, it's like, don't worry about, like, Joaquin Phoenix had cleft? It's the doctor that said that?
It was her. No, she was the only one in the room with us. It was just Dustin and I and our OBGYN, and she's the one who's like, oh, like, because I said, I'm just picturing, like, these TLC shows of these kids, and I just remember, I say Africa because I remember one specific episode of a child coming over from Africa, because I don't remember what the name of the TV show was or anything, but it was where they were doing like free surgeries for kids, all sorts of different surgeries. And I told her that, and I was like, I'm just picturing something extreme, I think. I think I'm picturing something extreme. And she's like, well, it's like Joaquin Phoenix. And so that's kind of what I left with. I left with, oh, you can wear some weird plastic thing on your nipple to feed your kid, and he can grow a mustache, and he'll be handsome like Joaquin Phoenix. And I'm like, this is not enough information for me.
Like, just gonna deal. It's just you just got the information. It would be nice to have something that will, you know, not like more information, not just like, yeah, like. I had the similar experience, but like, you know, my OBGYN wasn't there. It was a locum doctor. And when I flew in to Vancouver and he was, my doctor wasn't there. This doctor, locum doctor was there. And he said, oh, we found that your son may have like possible cleft lip. They didn't say about the palate. They said lip. And
Yeah.
so I started crying. I was like crying. I was like, ah,
Yeah.
I was crying. And then he's like, hey, you have to go to BC Women's and have yourself tested, and they'll give you more information. And then he's gone. So
That was it.
that was it. And I left the room. I was crying, and my husband wasn't with me. Like, it's the busiest time of the year. My girlfriend was with my little son, and like, yeah, it's crazy. It would have been nice if they have more information and like be more ready. You know, they know that they're gonna break the news to a mom who's scared, and it would be nice if there's a little bit more like
Anything.
there, like just to help us, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And she did tell me like I needed to connect with a Cleft team and schedule me for a high risk ultrasound. And but the high risk ultrasounds are like, I don't know anywhere else besides Oklahoma, but they're scheduled out. I think I had like a month before I went to that.
Oh, no.
And so it was like, that's all. I mean, they kind of leave you like, what's the saying, where throw you in and see if you can swim. Like you're just free falling. And you're like, I don't know should I be calling a Cleft team now? Should I be connecting with somebody? Like, should I be Googling all this stuff? Yeah, you kind of are. I feel like I was settled before birth. I feel like I got to that place. But for a long time, you're just wondering, like, if I know this little, and if this is like a one day in medical school, you learn about clefts, so the doctors know this little, like, who's going to advocate for my son? Who's going to know what to do? And so that's like where my mind goes, because I'm always like super research based about everything. I was like, I need to know how many of these babies go on breathing machines and why and when, and if they're going to try and put him on one when he doesn't need one because they're scared because they don't know what to do and stuff like that. I was like going crazy. I have like a notebook full of notes trying to like teach myself more than somebody else will know so that I'll know what's right and wrong. And I had a 35-hour natural labor before we did an epidural and Pitocin to try and move it along. And the night before that, I didn't sleep, and I hadn't eaten because natural labor, you have zero appetite, and I was so delirious. I was just praying I still had like what I needed at the point in my brain I could grab it from, because I was falling asleep in between contractions, and I just wanted to make sure like they weren't going to take him away from me because I was not in a hospital. I made the decision not to give birth in a hospital with a NICU. They have a NICU, but it's only for 12 hours, and then they take the baby elsewhere. And so I felt confident, like if he needed a breathing machine, that we could get him off of it unless something else was wrong.
Yeah.
Something unforeseen outside of the cleft. And so I just wanted to make sure like they didn't shove formula down his throat and like put him on a breathing machine and take him away from me. And if you don't know me, I'm super health minded. It's always at the forefront of everything I'm doing. But like there's like hippie and there's like the opposite, and I'm like somewhere over here. because everything's super research based for me. Like, and I feel like I'm babbling at this point, but my doula was like, "Oh, do you want me to encapsulate your placenta?" I'm like, well, let me look into that. And I feel like every hippie would be like, "Yeah," and I was like, "No." So stuff like that, just to kind of give people a background. I was worried. I was worried for probably the entire other half of my pregnancy, just worried. And I didn't know how to stop that.
I can't blame you. Like, it's like, I'm just curious, like, did the Cleft team, did you meet up with them? Did you find them helpful?
Yeah, so we actually met up with 2 to 3 different doctors. There's a Cleft team locally. There are 2 now. There were 2. And we met up with one locally, and while I liked what he had to say, I asked a bunch of questions and made sure that I recorded the answers and asked the exact same questions at a Dallas appointment, which is 3 hours away. So I really didn't want to be going 3 hours away for appointments because you have to go weekly from birth. So I was not excited, and I don't know if that's just a US thing, but it's weekly appointments until the first surgery. And we asked the same questions, and we liked both of them a lot. Like, these are who would be doing the surgery. That's who I'm talking about specifically, because the whole team is like the speech path therapist and the plastic surgeon and the orthodontist. And the other thing was the Oklahoma team was run by the dentist. And so he obviously had a background in oral maxa. I don't know all the lingo anymore. I knew it then, but in surgery. And so he would be doing the surgery, whereas I would have a plastic surgeon doing the surgery if I went to Dallas for Tucker. Mm-hmm. And I was already leaning towards that because, hello, it's space. Mm-hmm. And while the before and afters for this guy look good, I'm like, well, is he just showing his good before and afters? Like, I can't see everyone. And so I was worried about that. But I liked we went with Dr. Seward at Dallas Children's. I really liked what he had to say. And we had the opportunity to go with the head of the whole team, who's also a plastic surgeon, Dr. Kane. And we still chose Seward over him just because I really liked the way Dr. Seward answered my questions. People always ask me what my questions were. And I only remember a few of them. I remember asking... kind of an off question I asked was like, have you ever volunteered to do these surgeries elsewhere, and where and how long? And because a lot of these doctors literally learn to operate on kids with cleft lip and palate by donating their time overseas, in a country where people may not have insurance or any form of regular medicine. And he had done that and come up with a number of patented systems and ways to like basically reconstruct the lip prior to surgery, like on a computer. And he was also working with the Dr. Brown's team to come up with a way to breastfeed babies with clefts, which was super important to me. I wanted to try and breastfeed Tucker. And so I was like, I think I want to go with this guy, because he was like, I will get you in on the trial for the breastfeeding. And I was like, really? So we didn't end up doing that because Tucker came out without a cleft palate. And he latched right away, but, and I never know if I made the right decision in this. And I struggle with this a lot. And I don't think that people realize how hard it is if you're a cleft mom and you wanted to breastfeed and you can't, or you have to make the decision not to. And hearing people like talk about breastfeeding all the time and how it's better for your baby, and I just want to punch some of them in the face because they think that, I think a lot of people think that you don't breastfeed and that it's really a choice in the end. And sometimes it's really not. For me, you could maybe call it a choice because I think Tucker could latch and could adequately feed, but only on one side. Because his cleft was on one side, and I could use my breast to fill his cleft. And he has a hole, still has a hole in his ovular ridge up into his nasal cavity. So that's not a cleft palate, it's just a hole in his basically a hole in his gum line. And so to get suction, you have to be able to close that hole too. So I had to get my breast in his cleft and plug that hole. And I could only make that happen on one side. So I would be pumping one side, breastfeeding the other side, and worrying the whole time about him gaining weight. That was my biggest fear, because they tell you want your baby to be gaining weight for surgery. That's utmost importance. And if your baby's not gaining weight, a lot of cleft babies end up with nutritive supplement, which is basically a feeding tube. And I wanted to do everything in my powers to avoid that. My mom powers. We all have mom powers.
Oh, bear powers.
Yeah, mama bear powers. To the point where I had like ordered bulk syringes to syringe feed him if I needed to. And I was actually expressing for people who don't know means I was milking myself. I was milking myself at 36 weeks pregnant. And I'm talking like, colostrum is like the sticky, thick yellow stuff that comes out before breast milk, and it's the most nutritive for a baby. And this isn't suggested unless you have a baby that could come out and have feeding issues, which a cleft baby can. And so I had decided I was gonna express colostrum, which, by the way, was the best choice that I think I made, because I felt so much better being able to give him that. But it was every morning and every evening. I was literally milking myself like a cow for 1 to 2 milliliters of colostrum. I'm talking the little teeny tiny syringes. And my husband was sitting there with the syringe catching every drop. Like, that's what we did. Because I was so worried about him having to go on a feeding tube, because once you're on it, you're pretty much on it until surgery. And so we did that, and he latched, and I was thinking, should I do this? Should I start pumping? I don't know any better. And we decided to pump exclusively because we could better monitor how much we were giving him. And I kept trying, and we did still nurse some, just not much, like maybe once a day, like for comfort before a nap in those infancy stages. I mean, they're just eating all the time. So we made that really tough decision to not continue to try, and exclusive pumping was hard enough. I can't imagine exclusive breastfeeding on one boob and exclusive pumping on the other boob. Just, my husband had to go back to work, so that would have been so hard. And I feel like, again, I'm babbling. You need to talk.
Yeah, well, like the breast, that's one of the biggest challenges. And I've been reading the threads as well on the moms group, in the Cleft group. A lot of moms are struggling, like including myself. I struggled with, like, I have 2 kids. The second, Roman, like Hugo, well, I didn't really have much milk to start with anyways. Like Hugo had 3 months supply. So I feel like, giving your second, like, the same amount, the best that you can give, and then he just won't latch. And it's like, you try to pump, but then you have a toddler, and then there's that guilty feeling of like, I can't give my breast milk, like he's gonna have formula. But I think at the end of the day, moms, like, you just do what you think is best for you and your family. Like, giving up, like, when the moment I let go of that, I can't pump because I'm going crazy and everybody's going crazy in the house. It's just like, when I let it go, I think there's more peace in our house and in our time.
Yeah.
So but like, it's crazy, like these things that we have to go through. Tasha, like, I've never heard that, like, pumping on one and the other breast you have to breastfeed. That's commitment. Like,
yeah, I wasn't doing it.
You tried that,
and I only made it 5 months pumping, which I want to say that because I don't want people to think I'm still pumping. I made it 5 months, and I had enough breast milk until about a month ago to give him a bag a day. And the bags I had were like 3 to 4 ounces each. So I gave him a bag a day until he was 10 months old, and then a friend of mine gave me some breast milk, and we're giving him like an ounce a day, and we get formula from Europe because I'm not a hippie, but I'm not over here. I'm right here.
Yeah.
So we are using formula now, and it is amazing. It's amazing not to be pumping and cleaning parts, and there are a few studies coming out now, actually, research-based mom over here, about how little breast milk a baby can get and still reap the benefits. And one of the studies was based on just an ounce a day. And the baby was still receiving the antibodies and all the good stuff in there. And that's what's most important to me anyways, is the antibodies that we can give our child through that milk. I'm glad that not only is he getting mine, but he's getting my friend Lindsay's, who's even healthier than I am. So I'm over here like, oh, he's going to have like the best immune system on planet Earth with Lindsay's breast milk. But yeah, we're super blessed to have those options even available to us. And I just feel so much pain for moms who have the guilt of using formula from the start put on them from friends and family, because no matter why you're there, if you just have multiple kids and you like need that stress lifted. And I mean, if you watch my stories yesterday, I like stuck Tucker in his crib to scream because I didn't want to lose my temper. Like, imagine if I was still pumping, trying to put him down for a nap for 40 minutes. And I mean, I like the moms who go a year exclusive pumping are awesome. Like, I don't know how they survive, especially with multiple kids.
It's crazy. Like, you know, like I had the Medela pump, where you put your bra and then like the pumping.
Yeah.
But it's like, that was like the longest 10 minutes. Is it 10 minutes? Yeah, 10 minutes. And then you extract both breasts. But it's like, that's the longest pumping, like the longest 10 minutes of my life. Like it's like, when is this going to end? Like, you know, you can even, I feel like a robot moving because it's like both.
Yeah, because if you bend over, it's like, nope, oh, sorry, oh, not too far back. We're just right here. I'm going to walk like this. Yeah, no. And I did 20 minutes because that's the only way I could get enough. I tried all the methods everybody talked, like do 10 minutes and wait 2, and like then do 5, or do 5 and then wait 3 and then do 2. And I'm like, this is what works for me. We're just going to strap it on for 20 minutes and go about our business. But yeah, even I had the LV, which is the one where you can wear it in your shirt. And I legit like ate at a restaurant pumping at one point. And the best part is the LV has little lights on it right here, which is stupid. Like, why would you should have the ability to shut the lights off if you're going to like talk about having a breast pump that's like able to be like worn in public. I literally look like the robot from Austin Powers. I was like, I was like wearing a sweater to double cover it so that like you couldn't see my headlights, my literal headlights. But yeah, I don't know how people do it.
That is so
no clue.
Funny, Tasha.
You should get you an LV if you ever do this again.
No, I think I'm done with kids, so yeah.
You keep your 2.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Oh, that's funny. So with Tucker, what is next in his journey? So he had the lip surgery.
Yeah.
He didn't have his palate is intact. Everything was good. So
yeah.
Is there more surgery after this, or?
Oh yeah, definitely. And I talked about this in a post recently. There's a huge misconception that it's like one and done. There's some magic surgery and then it's cosmetic. That was the other thing my OBGYN said repeatedly. It's just cosmetic. It's only cosmetic. And if you go back and watch my Cleft stories where I'm sitting in my car telling people Tucker has a cleft, I even say that. I'm like, but it's only cosmetic. There's nothing wrong. And I hate that I was like made to believe that, because it's more than cosmetic. it affects our children in so many ways. The palate, like the speech, the ability to suck, all that is connected to your sinuses, and so how you hear and whether or not you need tubes, and et cetera, et cetera. Anyways, Tucker has the bilateral, or had. Do you say had? I never know. Is it had now that they've had surgery?
Oh, I'm ESL, so I don't know if my grammar is right, had or so.
I'm like, Tucker had a cleft lip, but I mean, he still has a cleft lip. It's just joined now. I don't know.
Was born. I think I use that more because I'm not sure as well if I had or he. Well, because but it's already fixed, so I would say had. But...
Had? Yeah. I don't know. Just something us cleft moms sit and think about. But so he has his bilateral cleft lip is joined now. And what they did was they took his gum line. So if you were to look at Tucker's gum line, there's a little notch up. Like his front two teeth, and then right where this one is, there'd be a notch. And so that needs to have bone there to properly support a tooth. And that's not something that they're going to do to a 4-month-old, 3-month-old baby. They're not going to do a bone graft at that time. And so what he did was he just took the, where the hole is. So back behind that notch, there's a little hole. It was probably about this big before surgery. And then it's just like a pinhole now. And what they did was they took the skin, or the tissue, it's not really skin, the tissue in there, and they sealed that hole. But because the only thing there is tissue, and your nose and your mouth are trying to suck at the same time, it is very normal for that to open back up a little bit. So his has opened up to like the pinhole status, but he still doesn't have any issues with suction. But back to what you were saying or asking me to begin with, he will have a bone graft. I don't know if that's next for him or if he'll have a corrective surgery before kindergarten, but a lot of children with cleft lips or palates will have a corrective surgery before kindergarten to kind of make it look a little more symmetric. And so for Tucker, that would be his nose, his nostrils a little flattened, and so he might have that. And I mean, I don't know if my 5-year-old's going to be capable of making that decision on his own or not. We'll see if I feel like he's mature enough to be like, no, mommy, I don't want that. We're not going to do it. And I think that that's kind of important too. I saw that question a lot in the Cleft group. Like, did you let your kid decide? And I wanted to be like, everybody's kid is different. Like, your kid may be at a point where, yeah, I think they can decide, and they may not. They may not know enough about what that means or how that might affect them. So he might have that. And then you start getting your adult teeth, or they're visible in x-rays around 8 or 9 years old. And so Tucker will likely have a bone graft when we start seeing those adult teeth coming in, because you need that bone there for support for a tooth. And he probably doesn't have a tooth there. He probably won't have an adult tooth come in, or if it does, it'll come in somewhere it shouldn't be coming in. So you need that support there for the orthodontic work to move the teeth into place, because he's probably going to have like this tooth come in a little crooked. His adult tooth, his baby tooth is already crooked, but that's not really an indicator for what it'll be like with the adult tooth. So you need that bone for support to move things around, and then he'll probably have an implant or something. I don't know. I haven't researched it yet.
Yeah, I mean, still years away. Like after for us, know. He's like, oh, thank goodness we can breathe.
You just want a break. Give us a break.
We need to do something. Yeah. And then I think a year before that, it's like, okay, I'm gonna start researching again. But you know what?
Probably.
I think now it's great that we have this community. Like, it's, you know, like meeting the gang in this our little group. It's just so nice to like you know, hear from others. Like even last week, like talking to Christopher, like his journey. It's like, wow, I want to meet your mom. Like, it's like,
right? She's a superhero for sure. Yeah, I tuned in. I got to see a little bit of his. He's I don't know if he knows this, but he's always been kind of like an inspiration for me as a mom, which is weird. I guess I'm not inspired to be him, but like I'm inspired to like raise my child the way that his mom raised him. I mean, he is like obviously succeeding in every way possible with like kindness and like, I mean, she did a really great job and he's obviously done a really great job too. Just being a good person. But I mean, him and I never know if I say their last name right, but the Big Hills. Big Hill? Big Hill?
Big Hills, yes.
Yes, the Big Hills. Fine. And then there's a couple here in Edmond, Oklahoma, where the girl reached out to me and her husband had a cleft, and I'm like, I literally can't tell at all, which is not necessarily the case for every child with a cleft. You usually like the scar heals differently, but I mean, just seeing like people succeed in a life where a cleft could define you and they don't let that happen is like amazing for like a mom to watch, like, because you know that it's possible for your own son or daughter to do, because you don't want that to define them.
Oh, totally.
You just want that to be part of their story.
Or exactly, like that's what Christopher said last time. You know, don't let like at the end of don't let your condition define you. Like, you know, you like it's just amazing. Like, maybe we should get her mom on live sometime, and we'll ask all the questions. Right?
Yeah, want to meet your mom.
Yeah. So okay. So why is cleft awareness important to you?
Oh my gosh, because of me. Let's talk about me again. Because of how ignorant I was finding out. This is such, like, the only thing more prevalent with defects like this is Down syndrome. And everybody knows somebody with Down syndrome. It's not like something that you have a surgery and you look normal, or like everybody knows somebody with Down syndrome. And with clefts, you kind of have this, I mean, 4- or 5-month-old babies get the lip surgery and then they look normal. And I say normal because they were, I mean, if you're a cleft mom, you loved your baby's wide cleft smile. But to everybody else, they don't know that anything was different. And with a baby who has Down syndrome, you obviously know that something is different. And so the awareness is there for that. And the fact that everybody knows somebody who has Down syndrome or has a family member or a child with Down syndrome, the awareness is there. But with clefts, they're so prevalent, 1 in 700, that as many people as you may know that have a child or a family member or have Down syndrome, it's the same over here for clefts. But nobody is aware because you can't outwardly see it and nobody really talks about it. And so I don't want there to be another mom sitting in a chair at the OBGYN being told their baby has a cleft and that he can grow a mustache or look like Joaquin Phoenix, you know. I want them to have a little more awareness than I did. So that's like the main reason that I am fighting for awareness for other moms, but also for Tuckers in the world. Because the more aware people are, I think maybe the less bullying might occur and the less people might stare. That was a big issue. And I mean, I'm kind of a bulldog, so if somebody's staring, I'll be like, oh, Tucker has a cleft. Like, and other moms might be like, what do I do? And run out of the store, or, you know, I feel like awareness is key for pretty much anything in this world. The more people know, the more that they understand, the more considerate and kind they are, and the more they feel able to help in those sorts of situations.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, because like, yeah, they know, they would have more compassion, I would say, and they'll be less. I think they'll be nicer if they know, because like even what happened in January, right? Recent thing that I've seen that happened on YouTube, like I'm sure if they know what they've been through, like they wouldn't say that on a national TV or like say
Wendy Williams
and who's the guy from UK? I can't remember his name now. Yeah, but like it's not something that they should make fun of. And yeah, awareness is the key. Like with everything going on in the world, I think it's like we just gotta educate people. KSI, there's Jen. It's KSI making. Yeah, hi Jen.
Hey Jen. Hey Jessica.
Uh, okay, so I think I saw a reply here from Hillary. We were talking earlier about about
Yeah.
Cleft. So Hillary, she's from Operation Smile Canada, and she was also born with cleft lip palate. And she said that from what I've seen, some adults say had, and I still say have. Yes, it's repaired, but I still have visible scars.
Still there. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Hillary. That's
Yeah.
yeah, like yeah, it's awareness. And you know what, I'm really thankful for our group, like, you know, being in Hero Kids for like less than a year, and meeting you and meeting everybody here has been great. And I hope that, you know, this is our first year cleft lip and palate awareness, and we have a small group, we have a smaller voice, but you know what, I think one day we're going to be looking back and say, glad that we worked together to raise awareness. And yeah, it's a great community. Like, I just feel that everybody's so kind. And like, you know, you see, like yesterday I was chatting with one mom, and she has a book. I'm going to feature her on our Instagram story this week. And she wrote a book about cleft, like how to help her little girl with her cleft, so on Amazon. And it's amazing. Like, she shared that on her birth, like for her little girl's birthday, they collect bottles and they sell the bottles, and then they find, I think they're from Chicago, I'm not sure. I think yes. They sell the bottles, and then they ask the business establishment to match their donation, and they donate to Operation Smile.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow. So like she said, we don't do gifts. Like, we collect bottles. It's kind of like a family event that they do on their birthday. And so I asked her, like, why Operation Smile? And she said, well, when they went, there is like her husband is from Ghana, and they went to Ghana years ago, and her daughter got sick. So she got her lip surgery then, but her daughter got sick. I think she got pink eye or something when they went to the pool. And while she was like lining up, like went to a clinic, they saw this, like she saw a brochure somewhere with Operation Smile, and she realized, like, wow, like in the States, like we get, like my daughter has her lip surgery, and you can't even tell that she was born with cleft lip. Like, she has the scars, but like everything is closed now.
Yeah.
Like, palate. And then she saw that, you know, in Ghana there's a huge, like there's a lot of kids waiting for surgeries, and she said she feels so blessed being here in North America. And like that was what triggered her to, like, okay, every year on their birthdays they're gonna do this. So yeah, that's amazing. That's part of the awareness as well. It's like, I think if I didn't have Roman, I probably will never know how it's like I won't know anything about cleft. And yeah, so okay, I want to be respectful of your time as well. So
Oh, you're fine.
the last question is, what advice or encouragement can you give a mom or family who are expecting a cleft cutie?
Oh gosh. So you sent me the questions, and I like didn't read them all. I didn't know this was coming. So I'm shooting from the hip here based off of my experience. I feel like, as far as advice goes, educate yourself and turn to others for support, not education, if that makes sense. Everybody's journey is so different, and I mean that in the beginning, it'll feel like everybody goes through the same set of things, but everything is so different with each baby. Like, Tucker had a hole into his nasal cavity. He didn't have a cleft palate. He had a bilateral cleft, or he had a unilateral cleft. I've been saying that wrong the whole time in this video. Tucker had a unilateral cleft, not a bilateral cleft. And so so much can be affected here and here and here that every child's journey is going to be so different. And so while it's great to get advice from other parents, make sure you're prepared for all scenarios so that you can better advocate for your baby. And I think that that's probably my advice in a nutshell, is be prepared to advocate. Because even like the nurses at the hospital, they have no idea. And I feel like my OBGYN might have brought another doctor in from my cesarean just because I was having a baby with a cleft, because it's so abnormal, that they wanted to like see it, which I'm not, that doesn't hurt my feelings or anything. It's probably really cool from that perspective, to see something different in the medical community. But that just is like, speaks to how little clefts are apparent, and they happen often, but they're spread across a large area. And so a hospital might get a baby with a cleft like every couple of months in a bigger city. And so it's not something that they're used to handling. And so I think it's really important to educate yourself, to advocate for your baby, and to make sure that you understand that his or her journey is going to be so different from your friends or your relatives or yours if you had a cleft, because obviously you probably don't remember a lot of it. And your mom's probably got a lot of opinions on how to help. But it's going to be hard, but it's going to be worth it, because your baby is going to be the most important thing in the world. And knowing that you have the info and the strength and the ability to make this journey easier for them by advocating for them is second to none, for me at least.
That's a good one.
Shot from the hip. Hope that was good.
Yeah, that's a good one. You got it, girl. That's a good one. Well, Tasha, thank you so much for your time. And guys, thank you for joining us live. And to those of you who are not able to join, I will be posting this on our Instagram story. So Cleft Moms or anyone, if you have any questions, feel free to message me or Tasha or anybody else in the group.
Yeah.
We have a community, and we are happy to help. And our next live will be on Monday with Iva. Did I pronounce her? I'm so bad with names. Like last time, I had to call, text Christopher. I'm like, Christopher, how do you pronounce your So
yeah.
I have to like double check the names, because it's very important that I say the name right. So I'm so sorry if I mispronounced the name. But yeah, so Monday, we're looking forward to see you guys again. And Tasha, thank you so much. And when I posted this, I want to say thank you, and thanks to Tucker, seeing photos, like wearing the hero kids as he goes into the surgery, like going into the hospital, that just brought so much tears to my eyes. That was like, I'm getting all emotional right now.
I had no idea. I had no idea until today that you started Hero Kids around the time that we met. I thought that you had been doing it for a while.
When we met, I have like 320 or 305 followers, and I just launched it, and I don't know anybody. I just kind of I'm like, well, you know what? We'll just keep plugging along and see. And then I met you, and I'm so excited when I met you, sent you seeing him in those rompers. That was like, this is how I envisioned your kids, and he's like it's like a superhero. Like he's wearing the rompers that give smiles. So it's like I was emotional. I was praying all day for his surgery. It's like, that's why I'm like, message. I'm like, I'm his Asian auntie. Like it's like,
tell me what's going on. We're family now. Yeah. No, and I did have and I think we're lagging a little bit, so I hope that I didn't just cut you off. I was going to ask you, I don't know if you can download the Instagram lives, but if you can, one of the places I did a lot of searching for answers was YouTube. And I don't know if we could put the series up on YouTube. Have a Hero Kids channel. But I think that would be pretty cool. Because I feel like might reach more people.
Yeah, I'm gonna try. I'll figure out how to do that because like it's. I think I'll figure out how to do that. Maybe Jen can help me because Jen is so techy. Jen, are you still
She's
there?
so good. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I'll
saw her. She might
later.
have left now and we're calling her out.
Yeah, I know she's fine. Okay, well, guys, we are gonna say good. Well, it's not good night yet, but like we're gonna sign off. And Tasha, thanks again for your time, and we'll chat offline.
Yeah, thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.